Welcome back to Koto Paranormal. I'm Jackson. This episode here, we're going to be talking a little bit about the convict establishment in Western Australia, a little about the ships that sort of arrived first in the colonies, and we're also going to go check out a few of the old prisons and the old convict depots in Western Australia. So stay tuned for that, because you guys will actually get to come with me when I go do this. It's going to be cool. There's a lot going on in this episode, so I'm going to jump straight into this video now and start talking about a few things. Look, we need to go back before the beginning of the beginning, about 504 years back to the year 1520. Now, the Portuguese were actually the first ones to sight the coast of Western Australia, but it didn't really appeal to them, so they basically just kept going. Now, the Dutch were actually navigating a lot of the world and mapping that out. In 1606 there was a Dutch navigator called Willem Jansen. Now, he was captain of a ship called the Dyfken, and he landed up in the Cape York Peninsula, which is the north end of Queensland, and he met with a few natives. He gave the land a name and it became New Holland. But about 23 years later, back on the other side from Queensland, tragedy struck a group of islands off the coast of WA at a place called the Hoopman of Brollis. Now, Hoopman of Brollis is a Dutch word. It means keep lookout. There was a VOC vessel called the Batavia that was captained by Francesco Pelsart. Now, this ran aground on the morning reef of June the 4th in 1629. They spent about 63 days stranded on the islands, wrecked by mutiny, rape, murder, betrayal. It was a horrible time for these people. Out of 341 people that were on the ship when they landed, only 216 lived. This marked a terrible point for early exploration and for the history of Australia itself. There is remnants of a fort that was actually built by Webby Hayes, who had a group of soldiers at the Abrolhos Islands. They built these temporary forts over there, and they still remain today. And these are actually the first known European buildings within Australia. So you can actually go over there and check those out. They're pretty cool. On the 29th of December in 1696, there was a man called William de Fleming. Further down the coast, he was on a ship called the Geraldtons. Now, he landed at Rottnest, but when they landed, they found these little marsupials. Now, they thought they were rats, but they're actually more of like a little rock wallaby kind of thing. But they sort of gave the name to the island Rat's Nest Island, but Rat's Nest ended up turning into Rottnest. So that's where Rottnest, just off of the coast of Fremantle, that's how it actually got its name. A little bit later on in 1712, just north of Geraldton on the cliffs of Cow Barrier, there was a ship called the Geraldtons. Now, the Geraldtons had about 200 passengers on it, and it wrecked into these cliffs. The cliffs are basically just vertical that meet the ocean. But there was a lot of debate on whether this is where and when the European integration started with the Aboriginal people, and this was theorised by a geologist called Dr. Philip Playford, who spent quite a fair bit of time at the site. He did a lot of research into it, and the whole thing's really up for debate. During the 1600s, there was probably about 29 Dutch navigators that actually came to the coast of New Holland. But for most of them, look, the land, it lacked fresh water. The soil it wasn't fertile enough, so they couldn't grow any crops, and they basically just found it unsuitable for colonisation. But if we fast forward now to the 25th of April in 1829, there was a man called Captain Charles H. Fremantle. He was captain of a ship called the HMS Challenger. The ship was anchored off of Bruac Island, and Bruac actually became Garden Island, which is just south of Fremantle, a little bit off of the coast. On the 31st of May, Captain James Sterling and a naval officer and a general surveyor, John Septimus Rowe, arrived on the Parmelia. On the 6th of June, a detachment arrived from the 63rd Regiment aboard the HMS Sulphur. The regiment's basically just like pensioners, like British Guards, like soldiers, that sort of thing. For the rest of 1829, there was about 21 vessels that arrived at Bathurst Beach, and on the 18th of June, Lieutenant General Stirling gave the first proclamation for landing on soil on this new area. A sketch was actually made, like a painting was made by a lady called James Curie. She was the wife of Mark Curie, who was actually there at the time of the proclamation. Unfortunately for these people, they arrived during a storm. They had basically no or few tents that were actually provided for the women and children. They were exposed to the harsh weather. They basically just sort of made shelter out of packing boxes, and it really wasn't until 1830 when the first building was actually constructed on Bathurst Bay, which soon became Fremantle. The Roundhouse was the first building, as it was known as the first convict purpose-built building, although it actually wasn't built by convicts. Now, the building cost about £1,603, which is about $3,070 in today's standards. They didn't finish building the Roundhouse until the 18th of January in 1831. Its first punishment in the colony was a 15-year-old boy called John Gavin. He was hung about 10 yards north of the front steps of the actual Roundhouse in front of the general public on the 6th of April in 1844, basically just to show the public, if you muck around and you behave, like, this is what's going to happen to you. They left him up there for a few hours, and then they took him down and buried him in the dunes just south of the Roundhouse. But during later excavation, it's believed that his body was moved. They don't know where it went. It was never really sort of found, so he basically just sort of disappeared. Could still be there, but I very much doubt it. The Roundhouse could actually hold up to about 73 men. Some of them went to Rottnest Island, and the Roundhouse served as a prison, a lockup. In the 1900s, it served as living quarters for the Chief Constable and his family. By 1833, there was a cottage built. There was a little area to grow some produce or for food. It's a bit of sustainability. There wasn't obviously many shops. There was probably none at that time. In 1837, the harbour master Daniel Scott actually invested money into what was known as the Fremantle Whaling Company. Now, they also constructed a 57-metre long tunnel under the Roundhouse, which is hard limestone rock. They dug their way through from the bay, like the little bay there, all the way to High Street, which is on the other side of it. It took them 5 months, and they didn't finish until January 1838. This was on Bathurst Beach, and this is where the first landing took place. Now, at this time, they changed the actual name of the beach to Whalers Beach. By 1842, the town was basically starting to take shape. There were a couple of hotels, a few government buildings, there was a few stores, and by September that year, the first sales of the town allotments had actually taken place. So they were selling off little bits of property so people could, start a home, start a family, and this is basically where Fremantle actually started. But there had to be money coming from somewhere, so that 57-metre long tunnel was basically a shortcut through to the other side. There was a massive jetty being constructed in 1873, which was to actually replace the smaller jetty, which was called South Jetty, which was built in 1857. They made the jetty from Jarrah, and it was 728 metres long. It was basically to dock all those big ships that were coming in, also to export the wool and the wheat and the timber, just basically to serve the town as a normal town. The 1st of June in 1850 seen the first 75 convicts to arrive at the Swan Colony in Fremantle. The harbour master Daniel Scott actually rented out his wool shed to keep the convicts in. Now, the wool shed, it's long gone now, but it's actually where the Esplanade Hotel is on Marine Terrace in Fremantle. At this stage, though, when they were transporting people, there was no females, there was no political people, and there were actually no serious offenders that were transported from England. Between 1850 and 1868, there were about 9,721 convicts that were transported on 43 convict ships. The last of them was called the Hougoumont on the 10th of January in 1868. But as population grew, 1850 seen about 500 settlers. 1854 there was about 1,607. By 1859 there was about 2,406 residents, and basically by the 1860s that the men were outnumbered 5 to 1 by the women. Like the men outnumbered the women 5 to 1, which actually made it hard for the ticketer leave men to find a wife and start a family. Bathers Beach by the 1930s had actually changed its name again to City Beach, because obviously the town was growing, it was becoming a city, the beach was very popular. And also the point on which the roundhouse was constructed went through several different name changes, from Anglesea Point to Arthur's Head, then also to Ruth Head, which is now it's a major export hub for Fremantle. It's basically at the mouth of the Swan River where it meets the ocean. As the town grew, so did the need for more convict housing, and more convicts arrived and a bigger place was needed by 1851, and work began on the Fremantle prison. It was first called the Convict Establishment, and the prison had over 10,000 convicts between 1850 and 1860 passed through it. In 1867, the establishment changed its name to Fremantle Prison, but by 1886 it only had 60 convicts out of the 1,000 capacity that it could actually hold. They obviously endorsed a lot of punishment because it was a prison. Some gallows were constructed where they used to hang people in 1888, and the following year in 1889 a man called Jimmy Long was actually the first to be hung. Between 1889 and 1964 it's seen 43 men and 1 woman who was actually hung. The last woman was Martha Randell, and she was the only female to be hung there. The last male who was hung there was called Edgar Cook. 1851, the prison seen about 150 separate orders of lashings carried out, with the medical officer present to ensure that if the convicts weren't able to receive the total amount of lashings, they were given time for the wounds to heal so that they could actually be given the remainder of their punishment, and then that would actually continue. Whilst there were quite a few people that tried to escape from the Fremantle prison, 2 of the most notable figures, the first being a man named Joseph Johns. He was born in Cornwall in England in February 1826. Joseph was sentenced for stealing bread, bacon and cheese, and he basically became known as Moondyne Joe. He escaped numerous times from numerous different prisons, and Freo Prison actually built a special cell just for him, just to keep him in there, and he actually escaped from that one as well. Joseph unfortunately died on the 13th of August in 1900 at age 71. He died at the Fremantle Lunatic Asylum, which is now a arts and crafts centre. He died of senile dementia, probably a horrible thing to go through, but the second notable figure that escaped from Fremantle Prison is a man called Brendan James Abbott. He was born on the 8th of May in 1962. In 1987, he stole $112,000 from the Commonwealth Bank and was arrested at Perth Airport and sent to Fremantle Prison. On the 24th of November in 1989, Abbott actually acquired a prison guard's uniform. He cut some iron bars and squeezed himself through, and then he walked across the rooftop and escaped. During this time, when he was out, he actually robbed a few other banks and sent postcards to the West Australian Police Force, and that earned him the nickname the Postcard Bandit. There is a DVD of the Postcard Bandit. If you haven't seen it, go watch it or buy it or something. It's a great movie to watch. It's pretty cool. Abbott was actually captured in March in 95 in Queensland and held in a maximum security prison. Then he was transferred to Casuarina in 2016. So what was life actually like in the prison? Well, summertime it was hot, wintertime it was freezing cold. This is before electricity, so they used to use these whale oil lamps for lights, and they actually, when they were burnt, they actually stunk and smelled like burnt fat. Obviously, there would have been a bit of BO, so a bit of sweat, some cigar smoke in there. It didn't smell nice from the research that I sort of done on that sort of side of things. What about some food? Well, we'll talk a little bit about some food now. For breakfast, they gave you about 12 ounces, which is about 330 grams of bread. You had a pint of tea, which is a pint's about 475 mils. In the evening, you're given 8 ounces of bread, about 224 grams. Another pint of tea. Then for dinner, they served you meat, potatoes, veggies, and rice. And this was actually served right up until the 1960s. Daily routines, they really weren't much better. We'll talk about some of the routines now. 4:30, they gave you the wake-up call. The cells were unlocked at 4:45. You went down to mustard. 5:30, you were straight into work. 7:25, you had some breakfast. You had another bell for the sick parade. 8:10, you went and had a little bit of prayer. 8:25, you were straight back to work again. 12 o'clock, the bell went to finish work. You'd go muster. 12:15, you go have some lunch. 2 o'clock, you'd go back to work, and you'd work right up until 5:50 when the last bell would call. At 6 o'clock, you'd be in your cell for supper. 7:15 to 7:30, they'd have like the officers would come in and change for the night shift. But what about punishment? That actually happened within the prison itself. So if you disobeyed or you tried to escape, that was enough for 100 lashes there. You're basically just strapped to a flogging post and flogged until basically it ripped flesh off you, and the surgeon or the medical officer was present while this went on. The solitary confinement, that was about 1 to 6 months. Leg irons, there were shackles, you put into a chain gun made to work. Rations were halved. It was a brutal system, but if you were doing the right thing, then basically a ticket of leave was coming your way. So let's talk a little bit about a ticket of leave. Now, a ticket of leave was basically for prisoners that were earning a government pardon, so they could actually get out of jail and start a life. Now, the people that had their ticket of leave were transferred to a cell, like a bigger communal cell called an association ward, and this also meant that ticket of leave men that didn't have outside accommodation, like they were able to walk out of the prison, like they might not have had any wages from work, so they didn't have any money, no place to stay, so they could actually still stay at these association wards within the prison itself. Most of them slept in hammocks. They had a communal toilet, which was basically just a wooden bucket that they'd have to empty. The ward held up to 60 men, so there was quite a few of them in there at the time. Conditions of your ticket of leave were basically you weren't allowed to drink alcohol. You had to report regularly to the magistrate. You couldn't leave the district or the colony, and once the convict had followed these rules, they were given a conditional pardon. Once they got the conditional pardon, they could leave the colony, but they couldn't actually go back to England. So that sort of gave them a little bit of freedom. But at Freo, the new division was built in 1907, and by the World War II, the Australian Defence Department actually used this prison as part of a military detention centre. After a few riots and poor living conditions, the Royal Commission closed the Freo prison in 1983, and the female prisoners that were there were actually transported in 1970 to the Banjup Women's Prison. By the 8th of November 91, the prison was actually decommissioned, and all the remaining prisoners were transferred to Casuarina prison at the time. During peak time of the Freo prison in the 1850s, a convict depot had been established about 560 kilometres north of Fremantle. This was under the supervision of a man named Henry Ashford Sandford in 1853. Now, follow me as I head north to Lynton Convict Depot, and we're also going to have a look at Sandford's two-storey house, and you get to see a much different life up there. Alright, how's everybody going? As you can see behind me, you can see sign Lynton Convict Depot. I am about probably 90 kilometres north of Geraldton. You sort of go up into Northampton and then hook a left, and this is the road in front of me, the highway here. This is the highway that goes up to Port Gregory. But what I want to do is take you guys around and have a look at these old historic buildings. A lot of them have gone now. There's only a few there. That I will be able to explain the ones that are now being sort of demolished and crumbled. But let's go for a walk and we'll go up into these buildings, and I'll just show you guys what's there and what's left, what they were, and explain a little bit about the history of the place. All right, sorry about the wind if you can hear the wind a little bit. Now this little crumbled sort of ruin section that we have here, I'll explain what this section was. A lot of the buildings, unfortunately, over time have just sort of been demolished, but what we have here is this front bit. The outline here, you can see this was actually a general store. At the back of that, there was a tool shop. This little front section here was an office. And the end sections here were a Convict store, which would have been this little outline here. And also at the end was a carpenter's shop. I don't know if there's any pictures of it actually, like when it was survived, but you can sort of you can make out the edges of what the buildings sort of were. There's some foundation blocks along the front here. So we'll go around, we'll go up to the other buildings and have a look at those. Okay, so this tiny little bit of a shop, what you can see here, this was the blacksmith. Probably didn't need much room to work in, but you can sort of, you can see the basic outline of how big the blacksmith was. There's not much left of stuff here. It's just it's got a lot of history. So that's the highway I was just saying about before. It is quite busy, that you get a lot of tourists. This road goes up to Kalbarri and Port Gregory, so definitely during the holiday season this road is packed. All right, we'll head up to this one here, which is actually the barracks, and I'll take you inside and we'll have a look at that one. All right, before we go into the barracks, there's a little bit of a ruin here. This was the bakehouse, or the kiln room as it was known. There's really not much left of it. This is the back of the barracks. But Lynton Convict Depot was built in 1853 on May the 22nd. It's on the way to Port Gregory. They had a few ships. What was that? Tree blowing in the wind. So they had a few ships that arrived here. One of them was the William Pope, which was a coastal schooner. They had Leander, which was a 173-ton brigantine. The Leander is actually wrecked just off of Dongra, about 10 nautical miles off of Dongra, which is why they call it Leander Reef. And another ship that arrived here at Lynton was the Gold Digger. That was lost somewhere between Fremantle and Melbourne. A lot of these people that were transferred here was mostly for labour for the Geraldton mine. The Convict Depot basically serves as an employment agency for those mining. There was a smelter as well, the Warrabano lead smelter. But we'll go inside the barracks here and have a look at that. Alright, here we go. So when the ships arrived, they had about 60 ticket-to-leave men. There was a corporal, 5 privates, 4 pensioners. Pensioners are basically just retired British guards. There was about 4 women and 15 children that arrived on that ship. In here, they don't have it anymore, but they would have had like hammocks lined up in here. So from what I gather, they had at least about 90 people housed in this barracks here, mostly until the rest of the place was built. They do have some information boards here. You can sort of see on here. This is Sanford House. That's where we were just before. We came down drove up the road, and we are now at the depot. We are in this building here. That's a little bit hard to see with that shine. So these are those little ruined sort of sections out the front. It's a shame that they didn't restore them. Another building there. Just a bit of information about the history of the place, which is pretty cool. A little bit more here, Saving Lynton. They got to get state funding from certain places. One of them is the National Heritage Trust of Western Australia. There's William Burgess. He was the magistrate. Captain Henry Ashford Sandford was the first superintendent to be housed at the depot here. The sergeant that was actually in charge was Michael Redden. Now, Michael Redden actually got shot by another person. All right, we'll go for a walk up. There's a couple more little buildings, so we'll just go have a walk up there and have a look around. All right, so this little building that we can see here, this is the old jail, the convict jail. Most of it has been destroyed, but I'm just going to take you through and show you how small the cells were, which are just on the left here. You can sort of see how small they were. There's a lot of fly. There we go. The tiny cells. And then we come into the courtyard. Those little back sections were our earth houses, which is what we call a toilet. And then they probably would have had a separate holding cell here. The prisoners that were in this room would have been waiting to get transferred to Geraldton, Champion Bay. So, there we go. That is the jail. Alright, these little ruins that we're coming up to now is the old hospital. They do have little information boards here, you can read about it. So in September in 1885, the hospital, which only measured 10 metres by 5.5, it was not only to serve the sick and injured, but also for the mine workers and the pensioner guards as well, and their families and the settlers that were in the region that were here at the time. Joseph Horrocks was actually the medical officer and was stationed here at the depot. There is a little town further down which is actually called Horrocks, which was named after him. But there's really not much of the hospital that's left anymore. Bit of a wall here. You can sort of see a bit of boundary there. But yeah, really not much left of it. And they also had, I think that was a kiln up there, those remnants of a brick kiln. But it's cool to just see this stuff. Like it's old and it's part of West Australian history. So the kiln here was loaded at the top with limestone, and then fire was fed basically through the base of it, and basically it was used with mortar and lime wash for the buildings. That's what they used to use to actually construct these buildings here. So alright, we'll go have a look at one more building, and then that's Lynton Convict Depot. Alright, just on the way up to this last little building, there is some remnants of an old building here. This was the superintendent's quarters and the sapper's quarters as well. Just about tripped over that rock. So you can't really see too much. You can sort of see outline boundaries of what was here. It's not really a lot to see. You could probably, in this section. So you can actually sort of see here, there's an entrance to one bit of the building. So there's one section here, one section there. I'm guessing that might have also been a chimney at one point, and then another little section on this side. But the actual building itself wasn't really too big. So, alright, we'll go up to this last one and have a look. Alright, so this lovely little cottage style building we've got here. Basically, when Henry Sanford was replaced, they had a guy called William Burgess come in to replace him. Now, William actually needed, somewhere to stay, as Henry's house up there was actually occupied at the time. So this was William Burgess' residence. We'll go and have a look. That was hard to open. So not really too much here. As you can see, just a fireplace. Mostly just a place to stay. Geraldton would have been a long way. There's only two ways you could have gone, one was horse, which would have probably taken a couple of days. And then the second one would have been by ship, but there wouldn't have been too many ships that were, coming into port. But there we go. So this is William Burgess' little quarters. So that's pretty cool. Alright guys, thanks for just having a quick look with me at Lynton Convict Depot. Like I said before, unfortunately a lot of the buildings have been destroyed, but it's still cool to come and have a look at these things. A lot of tourists stop here. It's a nice place to stop. You can have a feed. Further up you've got Port Gregory, and Cowbarry's not actually too far away. So, but thanks for checking out the Lynton Convict Depot. Alright, here we have Henry Sanford's horse stables. It serves mostly as a purpose for a museum. We'll just go in quickly and have a quick look just to show you what's inside. They got a bit of display stuff here, old relics and photos, a lot of information you can read about the place. Upstairs up here they have like a flour mill grinder, or I think that's what it is. A little bit of stuff in here. It's a little bit hard to see because there is actually no lights, but there's a whole heap of stuff in here, bottles and little tools and knickknacks that they would have had at the time, like saws and horse saddles and a whole heap of stuff like that. But I just wanted to generally just show like what this building was and what's inside. So he would have kept his horses in here, and his house is just up on the hill just up there. You can't see it through the trees, but it's just up through the back, which is the Sanford house. But yeah, this is Henry's horse stable. So there we go. Alright, so this lovely little building that we've got here is the Sanford house. Sanford was a magistrate superintendent basically for Lynton Convict Depot. So I'm just going to take you inside and we're just going to have a walk around. They did do a little bit of renovations a few years ago because it was crumbling, but we'll go through a walk through and just have a look at it. Okay, so this is the bottom level. You can sort of see a bit of the old flooring's actually gone from there. It's a bit dark on this side. That's alright. There's a fireplace there. Not really sure what this little bit actually is, but it might be like a water catchment even. So there's a few rooms here. You can actually see, it's a bit hard from here, but you can see the water which is on the way to Port Gregory. The Cowbarry Pink Lakes is only about 1 kilometre from here. Alright, we'll go have a look in this back room, and then I'll take you upstairs. There's a balcony we can have a look at as well. I'd say this might have been, oh yeah, there you go. They might have actually had some old stairs going up here, I'd say, at one point. Possibly that's what that is an access. This would have been like a storage room for probably for food and hanging meats and stuff. But such an amazing view out of the Sanford house here. It's actually really nice. Alright, we'll go up to the top level and I'll show you up there. Alright, we'll just go around the back here and just have a look from the back. Here is probably really not much to see. I mean, the architecture of the actual place itself is quite unique. You don't see much of this, like I haven't seen much of that anywhere. You can still sort of see on the actual brickworks, like the, you know, where they've actually carved it out. There's a little bit in here. We'll go into this bit. Can't go inside, obviously, but so that's where I was just a minute ago. I was looking up through that section. It's a bit of a shame we can't go inside, but anyway. Oh, actually, yes we can. Right, cool. Alright, we're inside. Alright, I'll just take you for a quick walk around inside here because I didn't think we could actually get in. They got a little bit of information on it in the early years when it was sort of crumbling, and they had to do a little bit of restoration work on it. Here it is here. You can sort of see that. The roof all gone, people fixing it. Obviously that's it there, that's, you know, the back section. That's the door that I've just come through. Fireplace. There he is there, that's Henry Ashford Sanford. So I'd say all that roof there, that's what they fixed up and put on. But it's quite old, this place, it's very old. They got a little sign-in book here for visitors. Restoration in progress, 93 to 1996. It's a little bit hard to see with the gloss on there. But there we are. Some of the restoration process of Sanford House. Oh yeah, and there, I was right, it was actually a whalebone. Got some more information things here. And that's almost about it really. There's not much else to see. That's where we came in. They got an old photo here. Not too sure what that is. I think that is where they actually used to stop out the front here where the water is. Alright, so that was a look at Lynton Convict Depot and Sanford's house and stables there. Back in Champion Bay in 1858, work began on a prison in another convict depot. I'm going to head there and show you through that. It's a historic building, so we'll have a look at that one. Alright, so the building you can see behind me, this is Geraldtons' probably oldest jail. It was built in 1856, and they used this just prior to further north, about 115 k's north of Geraldton, and a little bit inland. There's a place called Lynton Convict Depot. Now they used Lynton when Lynton shut down. They bring a lot of like the prisoners back, but they didn't actually come here. Most of the prisoners that were at Lynton were actually ticket to leave, so they didn't actually need to be incarcerated any more than what they were. But we're gonna go inside here. We're gonna have a look at they got some craft shops and stuff in there, so we're gonna have a walk around. I'm gonna show you the inside, a little bit about the history and whatnot. They got some artifacts and stuff in there, so we'll go from there and have a look. Alright, so let's go for a walk now. We'll go down through the cells here. We'll have a look at the cells. They sort of start on the left and the right here. There's a lot of like little art and crafty sort of things along here, so most of them are closed, but that's alright. We'll just have a look. There's some more information stuff here you can read on the way through. It's pretty cool, like the old doors here. The old locks. guess they got some more plans of the actual whole complex itself. Quite a high ceiling too. Oh, yep. Executions. Let's just sort of let you guys read that. Yeah, a little bit of a, try to get out of the way. It's a bit hard because it's a bit shiny, but a bit of a ghosty sort of a picture. What have we got? Some more information here. Here we go. You can have a look at the size of one of these cells. So you can see they're not very big. Little window up there. Alright, so that goes through to the exercise yard here. So we'll go have a quick look through here. So the superintendent at the time, that was Lockyer Burgess. You can sort of see how high the walls are, they're quite high. There was a police officer for just Indigenous people here in Champion Bay. His name was John Drummond. And also the magistrate at the time, his name was William Burgess. He was stationed up at Lynton Convict Depot. And then once Lynton closed, he came back down to Champion Bay here. So we'll go back through. We'll continue from here. Henry Thomas. Sort of gives you an idea of the conditions and the size of the cells. Toilet bucket. Little lock Jacksons on it. Got some artifacts in there as well. So this is probably what one of the bigger cells would have been like. You can see this creepy looking mannequin here. One of the beds. I'd say this would have been a double. Because there's two windows, they probably would have had a dividing wall at one point. There's one of the old light fixtures up there. And then this is what it would have been like, life behind bars, literally. So, not much fun. They got a few little artifacts up here, drills and tools and stuff that they would have used. Probably for manual labour. It's what the back of the doors look like. Alright, so we'll just finish off. We'll walk back through here and go have a look at the police station. There's a little bit on the yellow submarine.
I think that's for the girls to do that.
The old policeman's bike here. Alright, so this door that we're looking at here, This actually went through into the female section, like the cells 11 to 16, I think were the numbers of the cells. They basically sort of knocked down all the dividing walls in here and turned it into a police station office itself. As you can sort of see now, it's just got the craft shop in there, but this was actually the doorway to the female ward, but obviously they got rid of that. Alright, we'll see if we can pick up a little bit of energy, huh? Is that somebody here? Can you come and make this light up a bit more? So we're out the front. This is the front of the jail itself. I just wanted to show you guys the actual front of it. Obviously you can see old police station. So this is the actual old office of the police station. So we're gonna go for a walk up a little bit further, just beyond that sign there, and I'm just gonna show you the warden's quarters. But you can see, it might be a little bit hard. You can see all the broken bottles up the top that are in the concrete, sort of deter a little bit more from the prisoners from actually trying to escape. They did have a few escapees here. They were recaptured and incarcerated again. So let's go up here and we'll have a look. It's quite a high wall anyway. So this section here is where the courtyard is on the other side. But I just wanted to show you guys the warden's quarters, and they have a little information plaque there as well, which is pretty cool. Alright, so here we go. So this was built in 1896. A lot of the limestone that they used, and especially like over the other side where I was before, a lot of that limestone came from about 2 streets up on the hill. There was a limestone quarry there when they first started. So a lot of these first buildings like this, all the stones came from up on the actual quarry on the other side. So that's pretty cool. All right, let's have a look at this place. So this is the old warden's quarters. I'd say this front section is probably the first built. Still got the old, see the old style chimneys? Looks like they got flower pots on there. So obviously they've divided it into 2 sections now. Maybe there's no one in this side. That's alright, we're just gonna have a quick look. There we go, a little shed there. There we go. That's the warden's quarters.
If you like. And I put it on one of the shelves thinking I'll put that out later.
Yeah.
And about 30 minutes after I'd been here, it flew on the floor.
Yeah. Okay.
So it was like, okay, I'll put that out now.
Yeah. Do you get like doors opening or like footsteps or any nothing like that?
No.
Yeah.
I've been here for about 6 months and there's nothing like
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I have a really good feel about this place.
Yeah,
But
okay.
I think it's
Yeah.
because there's been arty crafty people in it for nearly 40 years.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Take me to the Greenough Hamlet.
Oh yeah.
And
That's
in that jail, the jail's okay, but that very end room with the bar,
yeah. Yeah,
not
okay.
going in there.
Yeah.
You can't see anything, just
Yeah.
doesn't feel good.
Because I think that was for the Aboriginals, wasn't it? That's where they used to
They
chain them up
chained.
along the wall. Yeah.
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 Yeah, it was
Yeah.
barbaric.
All right, guys. So this, you can see those doors here behind me. This is actually the maximum security prison. This was the first maximum security in Geraldton. They had this building from 1980 to 84, just prior to opening the Greenough Regional Prison. So this, I'm just waiting now. We're just going to actually go through and have a look in here. I'm just waiting for a lovely lady to come and let me in. So we're going to take a walk around. I'm going to show you guys the inside of the old maximum security. It hasn't been used since 1984, so it's a little bit derelict. But that's going to be cool. So we're just going to go through and have a look at that shortly. So the building that we're looking at in front of us here is the maximum security. We're actually going to go inside and have a look at this once we go in.
smelly in here.
It is a little bit smelly. Okay. Oh, this is cool. I actually thought it was more of like a rec centre or something. Like,
No, this was maximum security. So
Yeah,
this
right.
end was single cells.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah,
they-
okay.
I don't know if you're able to see much.
Yeah, that's, I can see. Yeah, that's right.
So each had a single cell,
Yeah.
and this door went out to what was originally a little courtyard.
Oh, right. Okay.
And when the SES came in and took over the building, they put a
Yeah.
roof on it and made it into a single room.
Oh, right. So this was outside
So
then.
this was
Yeah.
actually outside.
Yeah, okay.
And there was a wall here in the centre,
Yeah.
and these two cells
Oh,
were
yeah.
able to have
Okay, I can
this
see that.
section,
Yeah.
and it's the same on the other side. So
Yeah.
there was 4 of these. Oh, hang on. It won't have power.
No.
It doesn't have power.
All right.
Not much. No windows.
Hmm.
There would have been, like they had those. So when this didn't have a roof on it,
Yep.
they did get some light. It wasn't.
Yeah. Okay.
But these had. You can see where there was a sink and a
Oh,
toilet.
yeah.
there.
Okay. Yeah.
So that was it. That was their cell.
Yeah,
That was
right.
their whole cell.
Far out. It's not very big, is it?
No,
Not at
that
all.
was just one person.
Yeah.
So then at this end, so there's 4 of those cells, 2 here and 2 there, and there was a little shower room in here.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So you got a toilet at one end
Yeah.
and a shower at the other end.
Yeah. Okay.
So they would have.
They all would have used
The
this.
4 of them would have used this
This
end
one. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
as a shower room.
Was this like mixed, like female and male, or did they just?
I'm not sure about that.
Okay.
We don't have a lot of history on this
Yeah.
building.
Yeah, and
It could have been that they were like females up this end and men down the other
yeah.
end.
Okay.
So this was the big gates that sectioned this area off.
Yep.
All the big gates. Through here was the
Oh, like
an
a.
entryway. So this was like a staff room,
Yeah.
and they could keep an eye on through the
Like a little office, sort of a.
a little bit of an office section where there would have been. I'm pretty sure there would have, this wall may have been up because this goes
Oh,
out
okay.
to a courtyard.
Oh,
so
right.
this bit here would have been a cell,
Yeah. Okay.
and then this goes out into the courtyard, same as on the other side.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But again, with the roof over it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, right.
little courtyards for each.
There's a bit of mould up there.
Oh, there's water. The water gets through the ceiling, so you can see all.
Oh, yeah,
these
okay.
They've accumulated water in here, and
Yeah.
got a lot of water damage. You can see the water up there.
Oh, yeah, there's heaps. Yeah, right.
So, bit of work to do. So there's another little bathroom and toilet through there,
Yeah.
and that's just another entryway from that side where they would have come in. The staff would have come in.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
As you can see, it's used to be for storage and stuff. And down this end, we've got another bathroom here,
Oh, yeah.
which was originally what they had in the initial building. They had this area as reception,
Oh, okay, yeah.
and then it's been changed at some point into a wet room.
Yeah.
So showers and toilets. Little utility space, and then we started this end with more cells. And this is part of what's been changed. This is being used as a storeroom in here.
Mm.
This was originally 2 cells.
Yep,
Again,
okay.
they've not. You can see where they've knocked out the wall here.
Oh, yep. Yeah, okay.
So 2 cells, 2 lots of doors.
Yeah.
This middle door here was to access the plumbing.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
So you'll see that on each of
Yeah.
of them. And so again, so this would have been 4 cells along this side and 4 cells along this side, one on that
Yeah.
side of the
Oh,
door.
you can see here where there was another wall
And there-
that
there's
they've
another
knocked out,
wall
yeah.
That they've made this area another area to work in,
Yeah.
but these 2 have been left single, I think.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, single workspaces. Still got a
So they would have used this like just before the Geraldton Regional opened, yeah.
So this was built, I think they only used it for about 4 years. I think
Oh, right, okay.
It was built in about 1980 and they
Yeah.
moved to the Geraldton Regional Prison in 84.
Okay, yeah.
So we can walk out there as well.
Yeah, alright, it's very dark in there.
That was the other courtyard.
Okay,
So these sections here didn't have access to their own courtyards.
yeah.
They had access to this one out here.
Solid doors.
Yeah, very solid
Mm.
doors.
It's amazing because I do a lot of research and stuff for my videos, like
Yeah.
the history of all the buildings, and this one has never come up in anything that I've
It's
you know.
interesting, isn't it? But
Yeah.
it is part of the history of the
Um,
jail.
Yeah, I actually didn't know what this building was, to be honest.
So this area here was the rec room,
Yep.
and then out here was the courtyard,
Okay.
the other courtyard. What
Yeah.
you're putting
Oh, yeah.
this stuff on the ground
Yeah.
where the ceilings come out.
Yeah. Okay.
You can see that they've put a metal
Oh, yeah.
ceiling
To stop
over
them.
top of it,
Yeah.
but it wasn't. Yeah.
So this was open as well
So
then.
this was an open courtyard
Yeah,
as
okay,
well.
yeah.
There was a toilet down in that corner.
Yeah. Right.
But this was just an open room, which they've obviously used as a call centre. They've put in
Oh, yeah. Okay.
stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
Yeah. Right.
not particularly pleasant,
No.
but
It's a shame that it's not being used as well.
we would very
Um,
much like to utilise it.
Yep.
But it's a matter of getting a little bit of funding to be able to
Um,
bring it back to something that's usable again, because as you can see, there's a lot of wood damage on the floor.
Yeah. Okay.
These things are literally falling out of the ceiling.
Yeah.
There's a lot of moisture up there.
I mean, a lot of it looks just cosmetic. Like it's the structure actually
Yeah.
looks pretty sound still. So
Well, it's not really that old. It was only used
No,
for
yeah.
a few years.
yeah.
And it's the actual. I've had a structural engineer look at it, and I've had a few builder friends look at it. They say the same thing. It's
Yeah.
structure, it's
Yeah, okay.
surface, but it's still getting the funding to
Yeah.
be able to do it. So,
Um,
interesting.
Even this table actually looks pretty
Awesome,
old.
isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's almost like old floorboards or something.
Yeah.
Um,
And it does look like it's been here for a very long time.
yeah.
But, yes.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's the maximum security side of the building.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
originally, there was a doorway leading through to the old prison here.
Yeah. Okay.
So you can
Like a-
see where it's been bricked over,
Oh yeah. Okay.
and that was the entry into.
Yeah. So they could just transfer them straight across.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Well, I'm guessing that's part of it anyway.
Yeah. Alright, due to more convicts arriving in WA, this made a demand for more guards, more police and more soldiers, and the 99th Regiment was under the Lieutenant L.R. Elliott. He was garrisoned at Champion Bay in 1849, and they arrived on the ship called the Champion. The 99th Regiment arrived on the Swan River Colony on the 7th of April in 1849 aboard a ship called the Radcliffe. These people were basically employed to protect the settlers, the convicts, to restore peace and order for Aboriginal labour and everything else that was sort of going on within the actual community. By 1850, Lieutenant Elliott took 15 of the 99th Regiment up to Queen Bluff, which is Shark Bay, to build a fort. This was actually to protect the guano miners and what was going on up there, because they were getting attacked by natives and other people were getting robbed. So they sent the regiment up there to protect them. When Lynton Convict Depot opened, the 99th Regiment became redundant. They went back to Geraldton, and then they went back to Fremantle in July in 1851. Inland from Champion Bay in 1870, there's a settlement on the Granite Flats known as the Granite Hamlet. There's a police station and a lockup was actually being built at the time. So let's go have a quick look at the Hamlet Jail now, and then we'll meet back here. Alright, so this is the front of the police station. We're going to go into the courthouse now. We're going to have a look inside. I'll take you through all the cells. So these through here's the cells. This would have been accommodation. So this is the courthouse here. They did also used to use this as a post office as well as a few other things, but generally, like, you know, there was petty crimes is what they were. So they would have had, these are the quarters. Also for the doctors as well, that they would have come over to treat convicts like patients in here. So I think over that case there is actually one of the doctors' cases still. But yeah, this is the courthouse. I think these were for holding the like the stamp things. I'm not 100%, but I think that's what that was. But that's pretty cool, you know. Old desk, old chair. They've done well to sort of keep, you know, what stuff they could keep. Alright, let's go look at the cells. They have got on display here. There's a few like of the old original padlocks that they would have used to actually lock up the convicts here, so that's pretty cool. I just thought I'd throw that in. A lot of cool stuff. Alright, so these are the cells here. I just wanted to go for a quick walk down and basically just show, you know, they're pretty small. It's would have had a few people in there as well. These would have been for longer like, you know, stays or whatever. this one here would have been like a day cell, like a holding over while they were waiting for court trial or whatever, stuff like that. Still got all the, you know, the original fittings and everything on there. It's pretty cool. Yeah, that bar that you can see at the back here, that would have been used to chain them up so they couldn't get away. Couldn't really do much else. Alright, so these are the old stables at the back of the courthouse prison. Now, there were rooms that they used to lock people up in here. I don't know how true. Oh, it does smell. Even though the horses haven't been here for a long time. There was some old saddlery equipment. I mean, that leather's as hard as stone. So, but yeah, these are the stables at the back. Right, so when the maximum security prison closed in 1984, the Greenock Regional Prison opened up in October of 84, and it became a remand centre and a minimum security prison housing 25 female and 36 male inmates. In 1989, there were 6 inmates concocted this homemade alcohol out of whatever it was. I don't know what they actually made it from, but they actually escaped. In 2008, 2 inmates actually dug their way under the fence using a pool cue and a dustpan. By 2010, the prison actually became overcrowded. These conditions were so bad that some of the cells actually had 3 inmates in there. The prison was only designed to hold 219 inmates, and they had 260. By November 2012, the capacity rose to 323. In 2013, there was a killer that actually escaped the Greenock Regional. He was soon recaptured. July 2018, there were 10 inmates that actually escaped. Shortly after they started a riot, they set fire to the prison and caused roughly over $2 million worth of damage to the prison itself. An additional 150 officers were actually dispatched from Perth. There was 24 involved in the riot. That quickly grew to 80. They also managed to gain access to the roof of the prison. After 40 hours of police searches, the last remaining inmate was actually caught, ending the biggest escape, manhunt and prison riot in Geraldtons history. Alright, before I end this video, I just want to do a big shout out to the ladies that run and have the little stalls down at the old Jail Craft Centre. They've done an amazing job down there. Look, if you're a local or you're just travelling through Geraldton, I highly recommend you go down and have a look at the old jail and check out some of the old craft shops. They've got lots of different craft stuff that it's good because you can support local businesses. There's everything from bags, knitted gear. There's a whole heap of leather goods there as well, like hats and bracelets. If you're into crystals, there's a nice little crystal shop with some ornaments and some rings, dream catchers and hangers and that sort of stuff. There's lots of decorative items, some pictures, mirrors, there's plates. It's something for everybody really, and if you want a massage, they've even got a little massage place there. I'd also like to thank all my subscribers that have subscribed to my channel. Like, I really appreciate that, and you've done such a good job already doing it. If you haven't already done so and you're new just watching my channel now, you can go down the bottom and hit like, subscribe, comment. You can ring that little bell for future videos that are dropped. Stay tuned for my next video that's coming up, because I investigate not 1 but 2 places. I'm going to actually go check out the old jail. I spent a night there. Then we're also going to go to the maximum security prison. So stay tuned for that one, and we'll catch you on the next video. Thanks guys. Stay spooky.